Welcome to Wisdom Talk Radio, a collaborative community of explorers in conscious living. Welcome to today's episode of Wisdom Talk Radio. This is where we get to explore the depths of conscious living and what it truly means to live an expanded life. Join us to be inspired, encouraged, transformed, to remember, and to tap into a deeper sense of joy and possibility. Okay, this is directly from my guest today, and I feel moved to share it with you right away. Living with purpose means listening when the universe speaks. It also means speaking from the truth of who you are, the fullness of who you are. And my guest today has spent years of focus and exploration and teaching to create a profoundly powerful way to step forth with the power of your own voice. So stay tuned, because this is an episode you do not want to miss. I'm Laurie Seymour, host of Wisdom Talk Radio and CEO and founder of the Baca Institute, home of the Quantum Connection Process. You can go over to the Baca Institute to discover your unique connection, or to begin to discover your unique connection with the essence of who you are by taking the Quantum Connection Archetype Quiz. Why quantum connection? Why do I say it that way? Or why am I even interested? It's that we are each designed to directly connect with Source in our own unique way. And knowing what your archetype style is starts that process of opening a deeper connection with who you are and with how you are with the universe. And that is, for me, the secret to creating what you truly desire, what you truly want in your life. Because who you are is exactly who is needed. So my guest today is Cherie Corinne, CC Rice, who is a master voice and speech professor, energy reader, meditation guide, and creator of guided inspiration and the art of awareness, two transformative practices rooted in vocal liberation. Oh, I love that, vocal liberation. Just feel that for a moment. I know I'm stopping myself, but vocal liberation. Okay, we'll talk about that. And energetic alignment. Her signature methodology blends classical voice training with energy healing, empowering thousands, from actors to everyday individuals, to rediscover their authentic sound and embodied truth. Welcome, CC. I'm really thrilled to have you as a guest on Wisdom Talk Radio today.
Thank you. That made me so emotional. So I really appreciate that. Sometimes it's nice to hear things reflected back and feel them resonate through other people's voices and hearts. So I really appreciate that introduction. Thank you.
You are welcome. As we say in the Southwestern French, avec plaisir, with pleasure.
I love that.
I'm going to actually say a little more about your bio, because I realized I stopped because there was a paragraph break in my notes, and I want to say a little more.
Sure.
Cece has spent her life exploring the human experience on stage, in the classroom, and through her viral TikToks that merge pop culture with deep energetic analysis. Her debut book, The Root of Awareness, weaves personal storytelling with guided practices, deep guided practices, to help readers realign, release, and reclaim the voice they were born with. Yeah. It's quite a powerful constellation that you have stepped into and claimed and have brought forth into the world.
It pretty much chose me.
Yes. Say more about that. Yeah, tell me about that.
Throughout the process of writing the book, my friends would ask how it was going as I was going through. And I would always say, I feel like I am being dragged around by this book. I feel like I sit down and all of the work I've done my whole life, I can't move fast enough to keep up with it. And every facet of my career has actually been that way. Becoming a teacher was something I was invited to do. I was asked, you should apply for this. You should do this job. Would you like to do this? And then becoming a guide and a personal coach to people was something people just started asking me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Can I have a private session? Do you do coaching? And that developed. And so, like you read in that opening thought, listening to the universe, and so much of it has just been the receiving part for me that ends up being what I have to give to others.
The receiving part of it. I mean, when you said that word, it just kind of brought me forward
Mm,
because you, even as what you said after I read the first part of your bio, you received it. You received, in a way, you received who you are.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is important because I think we learn self, as we'll talk about,
Mm-hmm.
through the reflection, through other people's emotional impact, through their empathetic expression. And because we are always in that exchange, I find the receiving part to be the place where I actually have the most control because I can just let go. Sometimes it's hard to
Ah.
produce, it's hard to present, it's hard to create and generate, but
Mm-hmm.
the reception part is like opening a door, and that I feel very capable of allowing.
Do you realize how unusual that is?
Yeah, because it took a while to get there
Okay.
also.
Okay. Eh,
I've described myself in the past as a control freak and, a perfectionist.
mm-hmm.
And once I learned to let go, I thought, well, why haven't I been doing this the whole time? It's so much easier than trying to have control over every single thing that happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
It is. And I mean, as a former controller, for sure, um, because of so many people I work with think they know how to receive.
mm,
But receiving is really active. It's not a passive state. It's an
there it is.
active, it's a willingness, it's an opening, it's a yes, I'm willing to engage with what life is bringing to me.
Absolutely.
And that's why I say it's not an easy thing. It's not it's fearful, or it could be. It goes right up against everything of our the part of our brain that wishes to control, the amygdala. It
Yes.
goes right up again. No, 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 you oh, I will be safe. Oh, this is the other side of where love lies. Oh, really?
Hmm. That, what you just said about listening, is such a huge acting lesson. It's something we talk a lot about. And one of my major mentors, who I mention in the book all the time, Brian McElhaney, taught me how to act listening, which is actually about opening that vessel of being present, being fully open to the moment, breathing in what's being said to you. And there is, they say acting is reacting,
Hmm.
but ultimately it's a listening job. It's
Wow.
so much about receiving your partner and letting what they're doing impact you enough by being available enough to it that when you respond, you don't have to work so hard to figure out how to say the line or what you're trying to do. If
Mm.
you're truly receiving, you just send the ball back.
Wow. Wow. So, in case I missed it, and I may have, it feels like that is such a profound teaching for anyone that works with couples or any relationship in general. So your focus is of course around acting,
Mhm.
given your background. And because I've done so much work with couples over the years, especially when I used to be a psychotherapist, that the the ground of communication, of receiving and knowing how to toss the ball back from an unguarded,
Yes,
open place is, I think, what you're talking about.
absolutely. It's about not feeling like you're taking turns, but knowing that your part of your exchange is receiving and that that is just as important as when you're speaking.
Mm,
Um, I talk about this a little bit in the book, but listening and speaking happen in the same energy center. And that means they require balance between one another. So listening and speaking can happen at the same time. I can be giggling along and interjecting while taking you in. And that is the healthiest kind of exchange where there's that flow where nobody's holding the ball, but everyone's ready to toss and receive at any time. That is a special kind of energetic exchange that I think is really expansive and allows for people to get lost in the transmission rather than evaluating the transmission itself.
and what you might mean by get lost in, I think what you mean is really get fully engaged in.
Yes. Yeah.
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 S- I think we know by experience when we've watched, let's say, people acting, we've watched a show or watched a movie, and we've experienced that. It's profoundly moving.
Yeah.
So, how do we, boy, I mean, this has gone in a different direction than I was planning to start in, but oh well. Oh
Go
well and
flow.
yay. Um, how how do you teach people to come to that, to open into that?
You said the magic word. I've had a motto for a really long time, and it came to me one day, basically like a channel in
Mm.
class
Hmm.
with my students. And it's not about acting, it's
Hmm.
about opening. Everything you need to feel to present an emotion or an idea, you felt it before. It's
Mm.
in there. And if you open up enough and allow that part of you to be generously available
Hmm.
for the audience, for your partner, that is where the energetic exchange comes in. And that's when you truly feel something that feels bigger than the moment itself, feels bigger than the language, feels bigger than the facial expression. There is an energetic open release saying, here is my interior, here is my soul, that at the highest levels, that's how simple it is.
Hmm. Hmm. The highest and the deepest.
Mhm.
Yeah. So to be generously available, that's one of the most beautiful phrases I can imagine. Thank you
Mhm.
for putting that into this space.
Absolutely.
And hmm, I feel like people get scared by even the idea of that because they think that they have to protect themselves from being hurt. But I'm feeling as if I can say this to you, that when we're truly in that place, we're not even available to be hurt because it's not that's not what's happening. We're so in our truth of who we are
Mhm.
that hurt, being wounded isn't in the playbook.
It's it all has to do with where we've healed and what we've reckoned with
Mm,
and what we're ready to open to others. If we still have work to do on it where we are still holding it tight and protecting that pain
mhm,
that potentially is underneath or that we felt before, our relationship to it isn't yet where it has the possibility to
Hmm.
be, right? That's not to say that people don't get hurt sometimes because we're not able to
Yeah.
be as generous as we could be, that the space isn't as safe yet.
Mm.
But I think that that's part of what the practice that I teach is about is how do you create that empathetic safe space? How do you have a ritual of creating safe space so that you can process the things that lurk underneath that maybe you have been afraid of,
Hmm.
so that when it is time to have a true exchange with someone else, the mode of protection can fall away.
And there's something incredibly transformative about that mode of protection falling away. It's not like we have to continue to process ourselves. We have to be willing to step into what the present moment is offering to us. And sometimes that's what the present moment is. It's an, oh my goodness, how do I do this? I don't know, but I'm going to step across the threshold anyway.
And I love that you said, I don't know, because again, that is when we get brain centered, when we need to know everything, when we are
Hmm.
so involved in the intellectual exercise of understanding, we often forget the part that is about breath, the part
Hmm.
that is about the voice, the part that is about the body. And if we are over compartmentalizing, that can lead to overthinking and
Hmm.
privileging the experience of the knowledge base versus the experience of the experience and the present, right?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah, I love this. Your own journey has been so much at least how you write about it, um, so much a foundation for what it is that you've created, what it is you're teaching, and what it is you've discovered. I guess I want to include that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Yeah, it ties in with feeling a little dragged around by the book. Life has felt that way as well. As I look in the rearview mirror, I see the purpose of a lot of the lessons that I endured and the things that I needed to experience when I did in order to be able to be where I am at this stage in my
Hmm.
life.
Hmm.
And so that meant struggling with reading is on my path to becoming a writer so that I have the compassionate experience of the difficulty therein.
Hmm.
How do I make the experience more connected to what I understand and therefore what someone else may potentially understand that hasn't been a part of our traditional mode of engagement?
Hmm.
And it meant that the traumas that I held and that I experienced and didn't know where to put them turned into migraines and TMJ and constantly waking up unable to speak, unable to chew, unable to digest what nurtured me. Those times in my life are directly what led me to the journey that I've been on and the lessons I've needed to have about not having a connection to my voice, not being able to speak up to myself. I deeply understand because I've walked the road when people come to me and they're looking to find their voices again. And I can see in their body, based on the self discovery that I had to do within my own physicality, within my own structure, within my own muscles and breath, that all of those struggles of tension, trauma, holding within myself, suppression, led me to identifying those tensions, traumas, stresses, and holdings on an energetic, physical, vocal, and emotional level. And learning deeply that compartmentalization distracts us from the wholeness of our being.
Yes.
So I don't like to think of myself just as the physical relationship that I've had with my body, but recognize that that physical relationship is indicative of the emotional impact of the moments in my life that have been bigger than I could manage in the moment and required
Mm-hmm.
more time, more intention over time in different realms and different sceneries in
Mm-hmm.
order to unpack, to grow
And
through.
yeah, and there was something as you're saying that that I'm so aware of, and it was something that I came to in the writing of my book recently. I mean, the coming to it was a while ago, but it was the question of who would I be if I hadn't experienced those things. You know, that in some way I came into embodiment, into this life signing up for that, signing up for how would I be able to show people this trajectory and not show them, but having lived it, having come through it, knowing the internal feeling of that and what happens on the other side of that.
Mhm. Yeah. It's such a powerful thing to be a witness
Hmm.
for others and for the self,
Yes.
that we are constantly engaging in that reflection, looking in our reflection, looking in the rearview mirror, looking forward, that being in the present moment is the ability to take the look back and take the look forward if you recognize that you are here. And that is the perspective with which you see those two
Mm.
things. That to me is part of what keeps me in the present moment when at times it can be a struggle to replay, to repeat, to, you know, get stuck in old identities,
Hmm.
even when we don't realize we have. How do we talk
Hmm.
about
Hmm.
ourselves?
Hmm.
Old relationships that we can move on from, but some part of us is looking in one direction or the other, ignoring how far we've maybe come. So,
So when I think about being able to connect with or bring forward the power of one's own true voice. Something you said in your book about, and I'm sort of paraphrasing it, but it's about exploring the voice to that exploring the voice requires the freedom to expand.
yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Because what is the voice besides something that we have complete, malleable, open availability with? We can hit all kinds of notes as human beings. The value of our expression through our voices is infinite, right? And when we think about the infinite universe, it is constantly expanding. And from the time we begin the use of the voice, as soon as we exit the womb and we experience the ability to take in air and then to release sound, from that moment on, the voice just continues to expand as we learn language, as we learn to express all of the different emotions and ways in which, if we truly allow them to expand fully through us, they will come with unique sound expressions.
Mm.
And literally, there's an expansion, right? The diaphragm moves out of the way so that the lungs can expand, so that the ribs can expand, so that breath can support the sound. Because without breath, there is no sound. We need the movement of air in order to create vibration in our vocal folds. And so all of this comes together, and expansion is life.
Mm.
It is the signifier. When you see a body doing this,
Yeah.
you know it is alive.
Mm. And that this, for people that are just
The list.
listening, the movement of our chest cavity, the movement of our breathing, of our
Yes,
inspiration and respiration and
correct.
exhalation.
Yes. Inspiration is my whole thing.
Yeah, me too. Me too, actually.
Because it's such a beautiful word
Mm,
in that it is the word for the intake of breath
yeah.
to inspire. And so I often say, if you're looking for inspiration, be careful that you're not holding your breath.
Mm.
When we look at someone, we see this in cartoons, we see this all over our energetic zeitgeist,
Hmm.
that when an idea comes, when an inspiration sparks,
Hmm.
we intake breath. We bring that in through the inspired action of breathing to create that support for
Hmm.
the thought. When we don't breathe, when we hold the breath, we start to shut down our ability to think clearly. We have a very hard time not activating our fight flight response. When we hold our breath, we're telling our body something is wrong. We're not able to expand in this space. We're not safe to expand. And so, inspiration, breath, movement, expansion, to me, those are all energies that work in tandem.
Yes, yes. I created a program several years ago called From Inspiration into Action.
Hmm.
And that ability to not only have that initial spark of inspiration, but how do we sustain that? And really, one of the ways we sustain that is through the breath on a physiological level. What that means to me is we stay connected with the life force. We stay connected with that the intelligence of the breath all the way through the process. So we keep bringing in inspiration and then
Absolutely.
putting it into action. We can't hold
Absolutely.
on to it and and have it be anything.
Absolutely. If you'll notice, there's a lot of techniques about breath in my book, and I talk a
Mhm.
lot about breath. One of the things that I tend to avoid, and maybe I mention it in there, I'm not a big fan of breath holding. I have learned over time that a lot of spiritual practices involve the practice of holding the breath.
Mm.
But what I found as a voice and speech teacher is that most people have a lot of practice holding their breath
We don't need more.
inadvertently. And so I
Mhm.
find that what the habit tends to be is the hold. And so I often want to encourage more of the movement of breath,
Mm.
more of both sides of the breath. It's interesting. I
Mhm.
tell people, take a deep breath. A breath is the in and the out, right? It is the full the full expression.
Yeah.
The inhale, the exhale are separate parts of that breath, but we need both things.
Mhm.
And we must practice the balance of those things, as well as using our breath capacity to expand further and to increase our
Ooh.
breath
Ooh.
capacity, which is different than just holding.
So what do actors, what do people who, let's say, speak for a living need to know to be able to embody truth? I think you're already speaking to that, but I want to crystallize around that.
Truth is part of the throat center. It's one of the energies of the throat. Expression, truth, and clarity are the tenets and the pillars of the throat energy. And for me, everything in the energetic system builds upward. We stack from root to sacral to solar plexus, heart to throat, third eye to the mind, and then to the spirit. And then my additional energy center that I'd like to talk about is the wisdom center, the Alta Major. And so, because those things build upon one another, both actors, public speakers, the relationship required between grounding at the root, having the emotional safety at the sacral, having the support of the breath at the diaphragm at the solar plexus, integrating that with the empathetic center of the heart and the exchange between human beings and our energy that occurs very powerfully from the heart center. All of that layers together to support the energetics of the throat. And so that expression center, that communication center, whether you're using that in order to interpret the story of a character that allows you to express your true self through that character, through that sense of sort of triangulation, through another experience, that for me is the same pathway that we must take as a public speaker in order to connect to the audience and tell our story, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The true thing that connects them for me is storytelling. And when it comes back down to it, we are storytellers in our being, in our language, in our breath, in the portraits that are ourselves. All of our self
Mm-hmm.
expression is a story of some kind.
Mm. Yeah.
So they are intrinsically linked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it is why actors have a lot of tools for public speaking that public speakers have not yet necessarily been introduced to, because we have siloed these two practices
Mm-hmm.
in a large way. But when I see that there is crossover, it is at the hands of some of the most brilliant storytellers, actors, public speakers who truly understand that we're doing the same thing. It's just the difference is whether or not we place character out front
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
or if the character is placed deep within.
Wow. Oof. Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot we could talk about with that, but I don't know that talking about it, it's just I want to let that kind of settle because it's
Yeah.
big. It's really
Yeah.
big. Okay, I'd love for you. There's two things I want to make sure we have time to talk about,
Sure.
or for you to talk about. One is the warm up because you really do a big focus in your book. You teaching people how to do a warm up, and warm up sounds much smaller than it really is. I mean, it almost diminishes it, but it also, if we elevate in order to live, in order to be fully present, let's warm up. Let's seal within us that seed of our own expression.
Yeah. Simplicity is important.
Mm,
And I find that because it's so important to explain and help people to understand the power of the warm up, I want to take it a little bit off the pedestal because it can become intimidating. Oh, I have to do this every time I speak, or I have to practice this and we can feel overwhelmed by the necessity. And so by saying it's a warm up,
ah,
it's preparation. It's we're on our way, and it is the cornerstone of everything I teach because it was the cornerstone of what ultimately healed and saved me. It was my discovery in an acting class that doing the warm up and addressing my breath, my physical body, my voice, my history, my tension at once through one vessel and acknowledging that it's a singular vessel and becoming somewhat ritualistic about it. It was the consistency of doing the warm up to
mhm,
decide that, you know what, I'm going to just do this every day because there's something to it.
uh-huh,
And then realizing that the result of that decision, that little spark,
mhm,
was that my TMJ became manageable and I wasn't waking up every morning with my jaw locked shut. And that I was no longer getting a migraine every single day because I was releasing the tension that I had no idea was connected to my sleeping patterns, that I was confounding each night by holding myself in this very uncomfortable type of fetal position.
mhm,
And that the warm up ultimately realigned my posture, reconnected me to my breath, taught me where and how to produce sound in my body, and allowed me to express myself without the protection of the tension and habits that I had become so comfortable with from
mm,
their ritualistic use,
mhm,
that I
mhm.
could change those rituals and substitute them for something that was actually going to benefit the expansion of my energy over time.
Wow.
So teaching people the warm up, it's both simple and important and complex
Mm,
in sometimes in quite a passive way. Lying on the floor and
voice.
lying in semi-supine, the first four steps of the warm up, first three steps of the warm up are incredibly passive. It's a lot about lying down on the ground and breathing and letting gravity teach the body how to release, that it's
Mm,
permanent, that it's there for us, that it's safety, that
mm.
it's going to be, if we can jump up as high as we want and we're going to come right back to earth. And there's something important in learning that just by being.
And I would ask you to detail the steps, but I don't think that's going to come across as well. I really want to encourage people to get your book, The Root of Awareness, because you do detail it out. You've got drawings, you've got a step by step. Here's how you do it, and here's why to do it. And then people, when they get to do the practice, they get to not only reap the results, but they're their own researchers. I'm a big fan of doing
Yes.
one's own research and seeing, how is this? What is this? What does this feel like?
Yes. Yes. I will say one thing about the illustrations. One of the most beautiful things about the illustrations that are in the book is they were drawn by a very dear friend of mine who I learned this warm up with. Parts of it because I've changed a lot of things over
Mhm.
time,
Sure.
but some of the essentials of it we learned together in the same room. And so having a discussion and sending her photos back and forth of what I wanted and having a conversation with someone who absolutely understood the
Mm,
importance and the energy, I
yeah.
think it comes through in her illustrations of me
Hmm.
because of the unspoken part of the
Oh,
knowing how important the warm up actually is. So shout out to Annie Warden, my
oh,
illustrator, a
that's
brilliant creative
beautiful.
um, mind.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and I feel it as you share it, and I do agree. That the energy of what you just shared really does come through. They're simple, and there's some kind of potency that you
Yeah,
don't even think about, but
yeah,
I felt
you
at
feel.
least.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I know we're really out of time, except that I want you to talk about something,
yeah,
um, and that's about demystifying public speaking. This is something that you, I don't remember where I read it. It might have been in some of your materials or may have been in your book, but the power of being able to stand up and speak, whether it's in starting a movement, whether it's going to a committee meeting in your town at your town council and speaking about something that you feel passionate about, whether it's standing up and deciding to run for office, whatever it is, that the act of public speaking is so central to all of that. And I love that part of your mission, really. I think that's where it was about your mission, is to bring these things into everybody's hands to demystify what for most people is so scary. I mean, the number one fear, getting up to
yes.
speak in front of a group, but that it's so empowering. And if we are to have the kind of, I'm just feeling all of this as I say it, as I go to say it. If we are to have the world that we wish to have,
Mhm.
we need to grab hold of, we need to allow our own voice to shine. And this is what you have brought to us with this book, but more than that, with your presence.
Thank you. It is my mission.
Mm,
Uh, it became very important to me to give away the tools
mm,
that I felt that I had and I was teaching. I mean, I taught for most of my life, honestly,
mhm,
but I felt as though I wasn't yet able to get those tools into all of the hands that could use them. And I felt as though there were all of these tools that I was so readily giving to actors and incorporating into their everyday practice, but I had no real way to share those things with the person who needs it for the PTA meeting,
mhm,
for the person who needs it for the city council meeting. And demystifying is about telling the truth.
mhm,
And one of my big truths is practice.
mm,
Practice is the major thing that we avoid, that we absolutely need. We sometimes think of wonderful public speakers. We look at them when we think, wow, they're magical, they're amazing. They've got
Mm,
this thing that I don't have. And 9 times out of 10, the thing they don't have, the thing that you don't have that they have is practice.
mm,
And it's the ritual and the continual practice, and not just practicing public speaking in general,
mm.
practicing the actual language that you intend to say, letting the mouth
Oh,
find the rhythms, find the articulation to truly sit with the words that you intend to speak and see what happens when you go to activate. And the better you get at practicing, the better you get at performing. The more encouraged you are to practice, the more aligned your practice becomes with your product. And so there are things about this work that, if you're doing them well, it looks really hard. But if you know the truth, you can cultivate that through a healthy practice.
Mm. So you're giving away the goods.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep. I really think that we've held things back for long enough.
indeed.
It's time. We
Indeed.
need
It's
it.
time. We do. We do. And and I hope that people listening will really understand what that means and what possibilities you're opening the door to.
Mm, I hope so. I think it's possible that
Mm-hmm.
they will,
Mm-hmm.
because intention is a pretty strong, pretty strong thing. And my intention is to help people open up to this work and to expand themselves and what they believe they're capable of
Mm.
in terms of change in the world around them, and
Yes.
in terms of how they impact their future and
Mhm.
others with compassionate communication.
Yes. Cece Rice, you are beautiful through and through.
Thank you.
You you bring and shine such light, and mm, I'm moved. I'm moved. I'm excited. I'm excited for what comes next for you, and I'm feeling some of that. I don't. I
Mm,
you know. I yeah. I'm just feeling and having a sensing of
thank you.
as you come bring this more and more and more out into the world.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to be
Mhm.
seen
Yeah.
and to be in my light and to share what I know I was meant to share. So thank you for the space and the opportunity.
You are so welcome. And I want to thank our, oh, wait, before I thank our audience, how do people get a hold of you? Please put that,
Ah,
I mean, it'll be in the show
yeah,
notes, but I really
of
want you to
course.
be able to give voice to that too.
Absolutely. So my website is guidedinspo.com, or you can find me on TikTok or Instagram at Guided Inspiration. And that's where I am most of the time.
Great, great. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
And now I'll get to thank our audience for being with us here at Wisdom Talk Radio. Remember, join us here regularly for more wisdom, discovery, and illumination. And you can find us on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. We're on YouTube, so you get to see my beautiful guest here. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, share the episode, because when you do that, what you're doing is you're spreading the wisdom, you're spreading this opening for transformation. And to me, that's the most important thing of all. And for more for yourself about your own thriving with your personal quantum connection, take the quantum connection quiz now. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us here at Wisdom Talk Radio. We wish you well in your conscious explorations. For more information and to join in the conversation, our website is wisdomtalkradio.com or at Wisdom Talk Radio on Facebook.